In previous stages of my life, I often thought that it's okay to just feel like that or be like who I am, and you could think that, yeah, you should be okay with who you are, and that is definitely the case, but not if you are not happy with where you are leading towards and with whom you're surrounding yourself, and just taking how things are being is just not the way to go for me. But I had a time where I was suppressing that insight that would have caused me to move away from certain behaviors, just has been like packed with so much anxiety and potential loss I would have suffered from, seemingly, that I just turned away from all these initial steps that would have led me to understand something in an earlier phase in life. Because the potential of knowledge, or to the potential to grasp what the insight was trying to tell me, was there already. Because I've seen behind that certain curtain that some people and some activities had been playing on me, but I just wasn't right there yet, where I just make a cut and move ahead. So seeing the time frame in a later stage, when looking back at these times, was quite devastating. And for some years I was so, it made me suffer quite hard, because I saw, wow, oh God, for years I'd spent time with these people, for years I'd been doing drugs, for years I'd been going out every weekend for 2 days and had nights without sleep and doing stuff and just hanging around with people where I just also never felt like truly connected most of the time. Surely there were times where I saw, wow, I can have a good time as well, but this conviction in myself to just tell myself, wow, I'm happy with how the situation is was never there. And I now see this as a certain glimpse you get from your future and the potential things you're about to realize and start to like manifest in yourself and live by your change that you might do. But the change doesn't come out of nowhere. And sometimes you have to need more time to understand where you're heading, and that the right direction is just about to be made in the next few steps you have to take before the hits you gotta take before. Because I always overstrain certain situations. I wasn't the kind of person who was sitting down and saying, okay, now I just don't feel like this is the right way to go. I have thought about that in some sort of rational way, and I see that there are certain bad outcomes. No, I had to feel it. I had to like get all the hits I could, which could be, like hitting me, which could have been, I also would have been able to go in a different kind of direction, but I wasn't in a position earlier and had to understand certain stuff by just going hard and straining it to an extent where I'll definitely feel the outcome. Because I was too anxious. I just didn't think it makes much sense. Because it was such an unknown space. And space that was never entered before. And it was like a void, the darkness. You gotta get into it. And when you're young, yeah, for sure, you don't know stuff about life, and being so far ahead to make very advanced moves is not the norm, and it's also not meant to be like that. But understanding what kind of stuff you're capable of doing even when you're early on in this whole life was quite a trigger point for myself. I set up for myself even in these times already. So I've known that there is more out there I could grasp, or I could get closer to, but there's some things missing. And when I think back to these times, now it's something like where I just had to make that all these different kind of experiences with these immensely big impacts on my life to be where I am today. And I think this is also the reason why there's so much sparking in myself when opening myself up on these topics, because some stuff could have easily been prevented when someone told me certain things about how I'd move and what I do. So it's something I just like to share, no matter how it comes across, and no matter if you're in an earlier stage where I can all of a sudden just give you some light. But yeah, it's just feeling good also for myself to know where I've got and what made me go that way and what I would do differently. So when I think back to these times and remember how I also was quite okay with being who I am, I see a certain, it's almost like a veil that has been covering me, a veil of something that could have or should be revealed, but it can only be revealed through the exposure or like an actual determination you come up with to attract that sort of change that's lying behind that veil. And doing something so immensely big to like almost get the change out of the ground was something I was not able to do back then, because I was always jumping around with doing this hobby, approaching that, stopping doing this. There are many reasons why I don't want to do that. So I was always like in between all worlds and never came to a point where I say, okay, this is my passion now. I love to do this and I'm striving so hard to get better at this. Because there were always reasons why I stopped. And I think this thing got mirrored onto so many other parts in life as well, and that is a general thing I think we always underestimate, because we move through life sometimes or especially when you're not consciously thinking about what you're doing, in such an unconscious way where we just do, and when we don't face these struggles right away we're having and just take them with us, we would never think of how they might just come up in a different kind of form, in a different kind of aspect of life. How it's like almost cloning itself into different areas because you got some weaknesses developed out within a certain thing you're doing, or within a certain way you're being, and all of a sudden it's resembling itself in different forms of life as well. And I just wasn't at that point to understand what kind of, not risks, but what's coming with it, what the actual cost of not facing certain things in life comes with. Because how should I be able to come up with some motivation or like focus to stay on something when there was nothing where I was able to see how much is coming back to me once I actually stick to it, and how hard this journey of sticking to something you are truly, your heart is beating for is. So not having such a thing took so much away from, or was concluding so much in these early teenage years of myself, and how I was just feeling okay with being in that certain situation. Because I maybe had some interests and I like to do this, but I was also in some sort of way almost sensing how I'll be getting off this because it's not being interesting no more at some point. So I was limiting myself in such a big degree by not sticking to something, because I knew that at some point when things are getting harder, I just move off and get to the next easy thing I could have, that gratification I could get from something else. So that I just never left the cycle of getting instant gratification, and once it blew off somehow, I just moved on. So this took its place, and as I said, it started to resemble itself in many other areas of life quite as hard, because how should I out of nowhere then start to find an approach where I feel really good about what I'm doing? Because there were this path of mine had two like big rails on which I was building it on, and one was to always think more and deeply and question deeper and understand more about life, and the other one was that sort of rail on which I was building my previous life with all these kind of struggles and things where I just never came to the point of having great success going through this hardship of doing something like a hobby or some other thing. So it was I was not feeling too great about this, but I somehow came up with a way to not feel too bad about this. Started to like manipulate myself into thinking that I'll be on the right track with how am I doing it, and all this thinking, all this evaluating about life and understanding these theoretical things, they definitely gonna carry me through all the things that I won't even need to look at, because it's just outpacing them. It's way stronger than all these unfortunate little struggles one has. And I just definitely underestimated all that, all these all these impacts. I was faded by something that has been an illusion, because I didn't know how deep down I would need to face all these kind of things about my life to actually get ahead of those topics and move into some sort of new kind of way. So this all broke down when I all of a sudden got to see that I'm not getting further no more. And for my good sake, I got drowned with all these thoughts. I just at some point got to see that this is a big lie I'm building myself. A lie of telling myself this is alright, and yeah, I can find a way, and yeah, I can just overthink my way through this kind of topic, and being drained by all this overwhelm I'm making for myself, so it's okay, and been numbing in the next moment myself, so yeah, I'll get through this. But once you're getting quite a distance from these actions, once you had some hours not being numbed, not being distracted, not actually having these forces right in front of you that drain you into that kind of direction where you'll stay stuck and being like in that floating state of no development and just time being almost taken out of your life's veins. What took me out of that was, as mentioned, the times where I didn't have these impacts. Because in that earlier situation, for an unfortunate reason, you couldn't, for example. When I didn't have any more battery life on my phone after a long night doing drugs, being out there with some people, sitting there, not having a clear vision, but having a feeling all of a sudden, not distracting myself with my phone or some other people. When these moments came in, and all of a sudden you get this hit where you're almost being blown out of your whole body and mind, and look down on yourself and see how stranded you are and where your life had been going the last few years, thinking about where it could have led you when you just understood something early on. It was like things snapped and started snapping more and more. For sure, I had some of these realizations through like overstrains, doing too much stuff, not sleeping enough, making experiences with some sort of stuff where you just feel so ended up, then that you just don't feel good anymore, and you see, okay, I gotta go in a complete different direction now, because otherwise something terrible is going to happen. And that contrast of just being in this sort of stuck state you seem to not get out of, and having this opportunity of this whole nother different kind of way of living, I think this comes with so much energy or potential to glimpse a realization that you can almost not see it. So I started to somehow stack up these glimpses of realizations I got within these big contrasts, and I certainly got to understand that whenever I'm not being induced by that sort of thing, the way of how I live life, and doing something different that might not feel too good, it brings me something. it shows me something. And that was like something that all of a sudden then started to shift from the unconscious into my consciousness by letting me want to search for these moments of contrast more and more, because I then understood that whenever I'm distancing myself from that habit I was approaching, unknowingly, if it's too bad or too good, I would feel something better whenever I distanced myself. And that showed me, okay, this is something else. This is not like, I'm sitting down smoking a J and doing whatever and hanging around doing other stuff with people. No, this felt like actual life. This felt so much more energizing, and this hold it on for way longer. So why not try to get more from this? And surely this took some time and much effort, and you have your fallbacks as well, and you lose vision as well, but what matters is that you don't forget about these things, these realizations you once had, or these opportunities to see beyond the habit that's impacting you, where you already know that it might not be the best thing to do. Because I think we are on the same page regard to that you know some sort of stuff about your life, what you might be doing, what you could do differently, but just don't do it because things hold you back. So forcing this contrast, even though to say that you should force something might not come across too good, but just not giving you the option to have a fall or step back into these previous steps you already made, into these patterns of habits you're doing, can be quite a good thing. Getting out the house without a phone, wow, you move out of your comfort zone so hard. Or just doing things that don't make you feel good, and you might not feel great in this whole process. You might think that this moment is never coming. And I thought that so many times, and that's why I had these fallbacks also so many times, because I was just not seeing how things might change into a positive direction, or are giving me insights of positive change I could try to then realize and start living. So you have this amount of effort you gotta come up, and the potential thing you get back. And when you're not feeling that thing you're getting back early on, you might not stick to doing something like that. But trust me, you gotta pile up these actions of setting yourself into that contrasting state. And when it's not getting out of the house without a phone to just live life and actually think about who you are, then maybe do something different. Bring yourself out of that comfort zone to just see a different kind of angle, because it might inspire you so hard that you start to feel how life can actually make you do so much more in a positive way, with so much more fulfillment, that you'll just that you basically don't want to get out of that state of realizing and living these sort of things anymore. So that's why I just don't think we should feel too good about certain situations that could be manipulated ones from ourselves. And this is getting deep again, because there could be many thoughts out there from within ourselves that are telling us that we might be looking into the wrong direction, but our feeling says us something else. And you should definitely not overthink that, but you can rationalize, look at things and look at the stuff you want to achieve or you want to attract in your life. And seeing these things, I think, is the most important one to understand. You don't have to go too deep with this, but knowing that you can have something in life that's more than where you are, but you gotta show it to yourself to actually start not being too okay no more with the state where you are. Just comes with so much upside potential. Because we gotta be okay with who we are, but we can also be our best critics and can also show us so much more about who we could actually be, and actually start getting that one person that you truly want to be, and with whom you feel best when being that one. So I'll always remember these times of remorse and not getting to a conclusion, running in circles. And I'm happy to be able to share what I've started to implement so hard in my life, what I'm now able to live. So I wish you best of luck on your journey, on whatever you're approaching in life. And thanks for getting back to it, and we'll see each other very soon, I'd say.